I'm the muscle. And you're probably wondering how he gets all these amazing discounts. Well, listen and stop talking. I'm your on the Discovery Channel's Diesel Brothers program. Keaton the Muscle Hoskins is renowned for his cheerful, vivacious, and free-spirited charm. But despite his attractiveness on TV, Keaton had a very tragic existence. This film will examine Keaton Hoskins' tragic events, particularly those involving Diesel Brothers. In actuality, my dad was ill for the majority of my life. I literally early life, as the eldest of 5 children. On September 5, 1986, in Kisville, Utah, Keaton the Muscular Hoskins was born. It was a little community near Salt Lake City in Davis County. He was raised in a close-knit, religiously oriented family. Keaton has been burdened with obligations since she was a young child. He was the oldest child, so that's why. He frequently had to set an example because he was the oldest in a big family. His parents relied on him to keep things organized, trusted him with household duties, and expected him to assist with younger siblings. The seeds of leadership were sown in his psyche by this early expectation to be the trustworthy one. Keaton's dad worked really hard, but he has several difficulties in his life. His type 1 diabetes and congenital heart problems are the most noticeable. Because of father's precarious health, Keaton, who was still a little child, would occasionally hear the sound of agony coming from his father's room. Several times, young Keaton had to help stabilize his father after a diabetic shock, wake up, get a needle, or call for assistance. Picture an 8-year-old youngster attempting to help his worried father get through the night. Keaton's life was forever changed by those events. Keaton's father never neglected his responsibilities in spite of these issues. He was a source of insight and direction for him. He frequently discussed life, accountability, and the value of both mental and physical fortitude with his kid. He bluntly warned Keaton during one of their talks that he might have to be the head of the household someday. Keaton was terrified because of the weight of that statement. No child wants to be the man of the house, but as time goes on, they will come to accept this job. Bernice Hoskins, Keaton's mother, was the steady hand that kept the household going, in contrast to his father. She balanced a number of diverse responsibilities, including taking care of a sick husband and raising multiple children. She was kind, strong when necessary, and protective. Keaton frequently remarked that his mother had a quiet fortitude that makes all the difference, but isn't always apparent. Seeing Mom put in a lot of effort and maintain her strength provided Keaton an example of perseverance that became the cornerstone of his life. Keaton's connection with his siblings was a combination of mentorship and duty. Because he was the oldest, he frequently acted as a protector and leader, particularly for his sister, Channy Hoskins. Because he was reliable and trustworthy, his siblings looked up to him. He led them, played with them, and occasionally reprimanded them when necessary. His neighborhood also had a big impact on his development and current self. In a town like Kisville, freedom and safety are of utmost importance. Neighbors are close, play sports together, and children play freely. Above all, their lives revolved around their trust in God. Good qualities like honesty and integrity were ingrained in Keaton's life by these systems. Keaton developed his interests and persona while attending Sisville's Davis High School. For him, school was about more than simply academics. Within the four walls of his classroom, he began to grasp leadership, discipline, and teamwork. He had always been interested in two things, as his professors and peers were aware. Football is the first. On the football field, Keaton was a dependable player and a flamboyant star. He developed the kind of enthusiasm that coaches adore, played hard, and trained harder. He got a spot on the team because of his dedication and great physique. Even if he might not have been meant to play professional football, he gained valuable life lessons that he applied to all he did. The diesel engine is his second area of interest. Keaton is most likely absorbed in studying automobiles and their workings when he is not on the field. He was the kind of adolescent who preferred working on a vehicle over watching television in the afternoon. According to friends, he enjoyed disassembling and reassembling engines and studying how things operated. Keaton was drawn to the ruggedness and sheer power of diesel trucks, while the kids of his generation were more interested in fast automobiles and motorcycles. He became connected to many people because of this peculiar passion. Keaton had a strong circle of friends who valued his devotion, sense of humor, and readiness to help out whenever needed. Keaton was known for being the person you could rely on, whether it was helping with homework or defending someone who was being teased. Despite his stellar reputation, he is burdened with obligations. Due to his father's illness, he had to handle household duties that other children were exempt from. Because of the burden life had placed on him, he couldn't afford to be carefree, but he was not resentful of this burden. Up until his first tragedy, Keaton was the delectable cake that no one wanted to part with. He had endured the agony of obligations while witnessing his father's condition worsen daily. However, his fears have now materialized. Keaton's father died while he was just 21 years old and starting to comprehend adulthood. In addition to giving birth to him, his father served as his mentor, advisor, and source of knowledge. He couldn't handle the weight of the grief. However, Keaton's problems didn't end there. The family was devastated by his father's passing. His father's company failed, and their previous financial stability vanished. Keaton was faced with an uncertain future as life suddenly descended into chaos. However, he vowed at that difficult period that he would never rely on anyone else for financial support, no matter how difficult it would be. He made a self-promise to forge his own road. This choice paved the way for him to start his own business. Being physically fit was one habit Keaton formed early in life. He frequently did it for enjoyment and to maintain his health. However, he developed it into a full-fledged business once his father went away. In an attempt to start something of his own, he launched his first personal training company. For someone so young, it was a daring act, but it was also the logical result of the independence and fortitude he had been compelled to cultivate since he was a young boy. Keaton's reputation increased during his early adulthood. He was known as the Muscle because of his remarkable physical prowess as a fitness instructor and his capacity for action. Friends and coworkers saw that he constantly supported his statements with deeds rather than just talking. By his mid-20s, Keaton had launched several companies investigating fitness, health supplementation, and even medical-related endeavors. Every accomplishment and setback broadened his experience. Many people perceive him as the wealthy and well-built guy he is today, but they are unaware of how his difficult upbringing influenced him. The lessons he gained as a young man immediately influenced his determination to attempt, hustle, and push forward. Keaton had the confidence to tackle maturity before Diesel Brothers, thanks to these experiences. From his adolescence and early adulthood, Keaton exhibited a talent for enterprise. He started experimenting with tiny company concepts because he was intrigued by how people could take an idea, be it fitness, clothing, or entertainment, and make it viable. His insatiable curiosity ultimately drove him to launch several companies prior to his career in television. Fitness was one of Keaton's first and most distinctive interests. Keaton was already well known in the community as a gym powerhouse long before his enormous personality was captured on camera. He worked out for more than just himself. With the seriousness of a professional, he researched training methods, diet, and fitness. After a brief period of education and training, he became a certified personal trainer and began assisting people in changing their bodies and lifestyles. For Keaton, fitness was primarily about self-control, fortitude, and empowerment rather than merely lifting weights. Keaton wasn't your typical personal trainer. He scaled his fitness career into something much bigger because of his entrepreneurial attitude. His personal training business grew rapidly in Utah, attracting individuals from all over who were impressed by his physical prowess and inspiring demeanor. Keaton's career as a brand builder began with this fitness project. He discovered that he could attribute his inflated personality to endeavors that resonated with people's desires. As a sports enthusiast, his abilities enabled him to establish a sports academy, one of his greatest achievements prior to Diesel Brothers. Keaton came to the realization that many young athletes did not have access to mentorship and professional-level training. He thus established a setting where children and young adults may enhance their performance and pursue their sports aspirations. Aspiring athletes studied about leadership, discipline, collaboration, and training at the academy. In addition to creating programs for physical development, Keaton also dabbled in resilience and confidence building. His sports academy functioned more as a community center. Athletes enjoyed the way he challenged them to reach their full potential, and parents valued his commitment to their children's growth. In addition to the sports academy and fitness instruction, Keaton also dabbled in gym ownership and management. His idea expanded to include fitness centers, which provided him with additional chances to make a bigger difference in people's lives. Keaton had to do a lot of things as a gym owner. He was an innovator, manager, marketer, and motivator. He saw the value of establishing a culture, developing a brand, and making sure his gyms provided more than just equipment and weights. He made it possible for many people to connect with others who shared their aspirations and find a space to lift weights. They were thereby becoming a part of something greater. Keaton's greatest interest was fitness. But he wasn't the kind of man to put all his eggs in one basket. He took on further business endeavors. Some are completely unrelated to his identification as a fitness enthusiast, while others are. Knowing that being physically strong is not the only way to achieve great health, Keaton experimented with supplement companies because diet plays a significant role in changing one's health. Many of his clients' health stabilized as a result of his physical training and nutritional supplements, which further increased his popularity. Using his expanding following, Keaton also dabbled in apparel and retail lines. He learned important lessons about branding, marketing, and scaling from each of these pursuits. Keaton never let failures define him, even though not all of his endeavors were a huge success. Every setback served as a teaching opportunity for him. He developed the entrepreneurial muscle that helped him advance in his career as a result of his unrelenting experimentation. Beyond business, Keaton took on the role of mentor and coach. He was mentoring individuals and small groups on discipline, goal planning, and mindset long before he indirectly coached millions of fans via television. Although many assumed that Keaton only knew squats and biceps, he went above and beyond their expectations by delving deeper into his understanding of mental toughness and personal development. He stood out in every room he went into because of his exceptional capacity to uplift, inspire, and connect with others. Keaton was already starting to gain popularity in Utah. Even before television, he had a captivating personality. His humor, self-assurance, and enthusiasm drew people to his training sessions, gyms, and sports academy. When Diesel Brothers approached him, his increasing fame made him the ideal choice for a bigger stage. But at the time, Keaton had no intention of becoming famous. His priorities were transforming lives and establishing enterprises. He has already established strong connections. He saw the value of networking for building a network of like-minded individuals, as well as for business. Keaton was therefore ready to go even without the TV recognition. He already had solid relationships with athletes, business owners, fitness aficionados, and many others. He viewed the television show as a chance to do more than just become famous. You'll be astounded to learn that his relationship with Diesel Dave and Heavy D went beyond business. They were aware long before the performance, which is what makes Keaton so remarkable. It's crucial to remember that Keaton had difficulties along the way. He had periods of uncertainty, unsuccessful business endeavors, and financial difficulties, just like every other entrepreneur. His strength, however, was what made him unique. Every failure served as motivation for his subsequent venture. At the time of the Diesel Brothers' opportunity, Keaton Hoskins was already a multi-talented individual. He was a community leader, mentor, gym owner, coach, trainer, and businessman. He wasn't just any cast member. He was someone who had earned his spot via years of hard work, calculated risks, and commitment. His pre-Diesel Brothers career demonstrated the traits of a man who never waited for chances to present himself. He constructed his own doors, unlocked them, and asked people to accompany him. Furthermore, he wasn't only trying to make money. Their goals were to transform lives, establish communities, and establish himself as a brand that others wanted to follow. We recently completed the construction of a new vehicle, which served as the inspiration for this entire concept, since it reminded us of our beginnings. The Diesel Brothers. What are the activities of the Diesel Brothers? Many people have been thinking about this question. Let's examine the beginning, development, and conclusion of this legendary television program. The narrative starts in Utah with a small group of people who were passionate about large diesel vehicles and the crazy things they could accomplish. David Kiley, also known as Diesel Dave, and David Sparks, popularly known as Heavy D, were the two primary pals at the center. They are not biological brothers, despite the name of the show, Diesel Brothers. Together, these close friends developed a company and a reputation. And because of how close the brothers appeared to be on television, their name stuck. The show's main concept, is to purchase frequently used, damaged, or rough trucks and transform them into enormous, highly customized vehicles. They also enjoyed themselves greatly while working. It was the hook, and it was successful. The show debuted on the Discovery Channel on January 4, 2016, and aired through 2022. Heavy D and Diesel Dave hustled before they started this TV program. They established a diesel truck repair and dealership in Utah. They used the internet even though they didn't have a large marketing budget. They uploaded videos to Facebook and YouTube. Big projects, stunts, and pranks are seen in several of these videos. The videos went viral. One of those clips even earned them a spot on The Tonight Show, which exposed them to a large audience and attracted Discovery's interest. Shortly after, Discovery debuted a reality show that chronicled the team's wildest ideas and daily shop life. This is how Diesel Brothers' television adaptation came to be. Viewers were captivated by these incredible buddies' skill and humorous personalities from the first episode of the show. Heavy D was a visionary leader who enjoyed using large, daring builds to solve difficulties. The dynamic vocalist, Diesel Dave, enjoyed pitching the brand and cracking jokes with fans. One pal, Redbeard, had a penchant for business operations, gadgets, and plans. Together, they take a diesel pickup and add a stunt or giveaway to make it meaner, higher, quicker, and wilder. The storylines revolved on deadlines, customer requests, charity tie-ins, social media challenges, and friendly rivalries within the business, but the builds were the main focus of the show. Whether the team was building for a fan, a contest, or a celebrity, viewers watched to see how far they could go. The show changed throughout the course of several seasons, combining spin-off events and special episodes. Alongside the event, a significant portion of their commercial strategy, which included brand extensions and e-commerce, grew. This is due to the fact that they sold parts, clothing, and fan gear through online stores and a lifestyle brand, in addition to building trucks. Their websites attracted new viewers who returned to the show as a result of the TV publicity. Until Keaton Hoskins joined them, they had consistently worked in this manner. However, how did he get on the show and into this circle? It all began with a friendship. The show's Utah founders were friends with him before they became well-known TV stars. On one of the episodes, This Crazy Journey into the Diesel World, Keaton made the decision to accompany Heavy D and Redbeard. After that, he started to appear frequently on the show. To put it another way, he joined Diesel Brothers because he was already a part of the shop culture and friend group, not because a casting agent found him. Fans' rapid acceptance of him can be attributed in large part to that natural connection. His comedy and gym vibes immediately matched the crew's enthusiasm. The challenges became in size, and the builds became louder as the show went on. The team's penchant for extremes was encapsulated in the 2020 episode Monster Jam Breaking World Records. They pushed the culture of modified trucks into the realm of stunts. Their goal was to do something that people hadn't seen before, whether they were pursuing height, speed, or a wacky concept. Up until a hiccup in 2016, the crew was making progress on the show. When members of the Diesel Brothers business were sued by Utah Physicians for a Healthy Environment, a Utah environmental organization, their peaceful voyage was disrupted. According to the group, trucks with rolling coal engines that emit dense black smoke have been sold or modified with environmental controls turned off. This indicates that the vehicles were modified to release more pollutants than they ought to have. In 2018, a judge placed an order on them to cease producing or marketing such trucks. In 2012, following a bench trial, the court found violations of the Clean Air Act and imposed civil penalties. The overall penalties were set at roughly $850,000, and Keaton was listed among the people and businesses connected to the case. The crew made an appeal. Although a higher court acknowledged that they had violated the regulations and deemed their acts to be serious, it ordered the lower court to modify a portion of the fine for sales done outside of Utah. In 2021, the plaintiff's attorneys were ordered to receive legal fees in addition to the penalty. The Diesel brothers' story included a significant legal concern that shaped the team's discussion of compliance in later episodes. The show continued to screen fresh content and specials, notwithstanding the litigation. Diesel Brothers was renewed by Discovery for several seasons, and the cast kept expanding their viewership, both online and on television. As a result, the Diesel Brothers modified their methods. They made it apparent that they were headed in the correct route and started concentrating on legal projects that complied with pollution regulations. By paying the fines, following the new regulations, and carrying on with their business in a way that complies with the law, they were able to settle their legal dispute. The audience remained engrossed in the presentation, in spite of all that difficulties. The Diesel brothers were able to use their influence on the show for strategic business goals. Because of this degree of trust, behind-the-scenes enthusiasts who desired the look and lifestyle were drawn to their partners, which include diesel sellers and diesel power equipment. Parts, merchandise, and truck giveaway entries were all offered on their website. Additionally, the cast left the play. They participated in charitable events, interviews, and special appearances. In order to draw in new viewers who weren't initially truck aficionados, the crew worked with celebrities and sports groups on theme bills. The show's audience was diverse and wasn't limited to truck enthusiasts. The show had a lasting impression on car culture TV by the end of its existence, and it was formally canceled in 2022. There were numerous reasons behind this. First, the pollution control case complicated things and hurt their reputation. Technically, this puts the production in jeopardy. Second, the market grew more crowded even though reality shows about cars and trucks continued to be popular. Discovery Channel began concentrating on other initiatives, and Diesel Brothers was no longer drawing the high viewership of its early seasons. Third, from 2016 to 2022, the show had a successful run. That's 6 years of extravagant stunts, giveaways, and bills. TV-wise, it was already a success because most reality shows don't run that long. The Diesel brothers' increased offline business involvement was the fourth explanation. With no TV deadlines, they were able to do as they pleased. Additionally, the later seasons concluded, and Discovery broadcast a few major specials, such as the Monster Jam event that broke world records in 2020. By 2022, the show has quietly stopped, with no future complete seasons revealed. Keaton has remained busy after Diesel Brothers. He has established himself as a well-known entrepreneur and coach, hosting events and making appearances on podcasts to impart business knowledge and inspiration. However, in the show's universe, he was the vivacious friend who joined the group because his people were there. He is renowned for getting his hands dirty and assisting in the production of large vehicles and significant television moments. Keaton's presence was therefore felt in spite of Diesel Brothers' tragedy. Private life. Keaton was not immune to the type of tumultuous relationship that many young people go through in their early adult years before he entered the realm of broadcast stardom and became a well-known figure. He first developed a bond with his friend from childhood. A crucial pillar of his life was his relationship with Jenny Hoskins, who is frequently referred to as his long-term lover. His first love was Jenny. They shared their goals and aspirations and were devoted to one another. During the early years when Keaton was still figuring out his life's course, Jenny served as more than simply a girlfriend. She was a friend. Nevertheless, Keaton and Jenny's romance had its ups and downs, just like many first loves, and ultimately the two parted ways. Keaton met Miami Reader during his relationship with Jenny. Miami became his first wife in addition to being a partner, and the two of them started a family. Keaton's first two daughters were born as a result of this marriage, Hoskins and Callie Hoskins. Keaton was greatly delighted by these girls. In addition to being his children, they represented the love and connection he previously had with Miami. Taking care of T and Callie became a major aspect of Keaton's personality. He continued to be a present father in spite of his hectic schedule and growing responsibilities in the entertainment and automobile sectors. Nevertheless, Keaton and Miami's union encountered difficulties, much like many marriages. Separation was ultimately caused by personal disagreements, the demands of television exposure, and the expectations of career advancement. His personal life underwent a hard but important turning point when his marriage terminated in divorce. Divorce is never simple, particularly if there are children involved. Despite this, Keaton and Miami continued to act as co-parents, concentrating on what was most important, T and Callie's pleasure and well-being. Many men are reluctant to be married again after going through the difficulties of divorce. However, Keaton's life had other ideas. He eventually fell in love with Maddie Mae Hoskins once more, in a moment of loneliness and embarrassment. She was the lady who provided him with the companionship and healing he needed. They were married shortly after the birth of their daughter, Everly Victoria Hoskins. In 2021, Maddie turned into a representation of the stability and maturity he required. She evolved beyond being a wife. She become a confidant, a support system, and a companion in negotiating the challenges of life. Their relationship serves as an example of how love and companionship may be re-established on more solid foundations, even in the wake of tragedy and disappointments. Keaton is the father of 5 girls, according to sources, but no one is certain who their mother is. While his ex-wife Miami was expecting their second daughter, there were rumors that Keaton had an extramarital affair. Their divorce was due to that. This may indicate that the other 2 females were the offspring of extramarital affairs. But after years of waiting, Keaton recently revealed on his Instagram account that he and Maddie are expecting their kid. In addition to creating new customs and shared experiences, Keaton and Maddie are fostering a blended family dynamic that includes all 5 of Keaton's daughters. Net wealth, with an estimated net worth of $5 million as of 2025, Keaton Hoskins, also referred to as the Muscle, is now much admired. Fitness training was Keaton's first major source of revenue. In his early career, he probably made about $60,000 annually by providing customized programs and gradually expanding his clientele. Building on his reputation in the fitness industry, Keaton wrote books that spoke to his expanding readership about discipline, thinking, and reaching personal objectives. In order to supplement his income, he also dabbled in giving speeches at leadership seminars, gyms, and community gatherings. He has dabbled with small enterprises related to fitness and leisure, including clothing, training courses, and local collaborations. Despite not making millions, these companies added a reliable source of income. Hoskins's strict approach to wealth and lifestyle was molded during these pre-television years. They made it possible for him to support his family and indulge in luxuries like owning and operating a helicopter, which he proudly displays on his YouTube channel. They also laid the foundation for the opulent home he currently enjoys.